Welcome to all of you to the 2015 State of the Schools. My wife and I were reminiscing a little bit. This is my 9th State of the Schools here at Piqua, and I did one, I think, 2 weeks on the job initially 9 years ago, which was enjoyable, and we continue doing good things here. So with that, just a reminder on the front page, our website, and also we do tweet. If you're not familiar with our presence on Twitter, at Piqua School is the handle for our district, and then at RH Educator is my personal one. And then also, if you do hashtagging, hashtag We Are Piqua, we are creating a good presence out there. A lot of our staff members, our teachers and administrators are posting things with that hashtag, and if you just put that into Twitter, you'll see some amazing things that are happening on a daily basis with Piqua City Schools. The other thing I'll say with that, I did a presentation for the Fortnightly Club, I think it was last week, and I pulled up Twitter just to show those folks what we do with social media. And the comment I made was, when I was a second grader in school, they taught us how to use social media. They taught us how to use telephone. And basically, the whole idea of social media back then was using it appropriately. I was a country kid, and so we learned how to use party lines, if you all remember those. And basically, we spent about a 9-week period once a week doing social media on how to use telephone. And then our parents came in, and we showed them how we could use a telephone. We still need to do the same thing, where we need to show our students and model how to use social media. And so that's our work with that. When I worked with Fortnightly Club, I pulled it up, and one of our students had made a comment, and it was interesting because someone in the audience said, "You allow them to do that." Well, on Twitter or any social media, it's not a matter of we allow them, they do it. What I do, though, is when we have some comments that might not be the most appropriate, I'll go out to the high school in this case, and I'll have a conversation with the person. It gives me an opportunity and our staff opportunity to talk with our students about what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. So we're enjoying the age of social media, no longer telephone, but Twitter. So we use a strategic plan that we update with the Board of Education, the community, and the staff and our students every year. 5 main areas on the left going across: students, staff, school community relations, finance, and facilities. And this is usually a 3, 4, or 5-year plan, and we use this basically to help guide what we do here at Piqua City Schools. All of the building strategic plans then are based off of this, and then also all of the teacher objectives and yearly goals are based off of this also. The big one that we've been working on is facilities on the right-hand side, and then on the left-hand side with students, we've been working a lot with reading, writing, and math. We have some gaps and some challenges that we found with the new evaluation system from the state. If you remember, we hit the excellent rating mark on the old system. Once they changed the system, we found some gaps, and we've been working on that diligently. We have a great Board of Education, and with us today, I saw Andy Height. Andy, where are you there? And Steve Gregerson is with us, 2 of our board members. It says gold level board. The reason they're gold level is because they, once again this year, were recognized by the Southwest Ohio Board of Education Association as a gold level. And there's different tiers through the Olympic system, basically, that boards are rated on, and they hit the top 1. So we appreciate their leadership. Also, we appreciate the many hours that they volunteer. High quality staff to deliver the best education opportunity in Northern Miami Valley. You can see how many staff members we have. You get an idea of how many hold master's degrees, and that is a nice percentage of folks who are holding master degrees. And then you also get an idea of, we have 23 designated master teachers. We have 123 classified staff, and those folks are extremely important. Those are the people that are serving breakfast, serving lunch. Those are the people that are driving our buses, the people who are cleaning our buildings, the people who are doing maintenance on a regular basis, and then all the secretarial staff. If you think about what we do here, we educate. That's our first thing. But I've said before, we also run a restaurant for 3,700 students that we serve breakfast and lunch. We also run a full transportation system. And then we also have some phenomenal buildings that we are taking care of. So buildings and grounds is a large component of what we do also. If you look at what we do on professional development, there's a list there. One of the big things that we have been working on this year with our math program, and I mentioned some math gaps that we're targeting, something called Eureka Math, which I'll talk about a little bit. Also, we continue to work with our high school teachers on some of our advanced placement classes. And then also we work with all of our newer teachers on something called TESSA, which is Teacher Expectations Student Achievement. The whole idea of that program is to make sure that we are being fair and equitable with all of our students and giving all of them an opportunity. When you look at programming, we do some unique things here at Piqua. And we did a survey with the Citizens for Quality Piqua Schools in May. And with that survey, we found out that the biggest thing that our community is proud of with Piqua City Schools are all the opportunities that we offer. And so we are doing a marketing shift for all of you business folks. We used to be good schools, good value. Starting this past December, we have slowly been transitioning to what you see at the top, Piqua City Schools, where opportunity matters. And that's based upon the survey that we ran in May with our citizens across the community. And when you look at the different opportunities we provide, very unique district from the standpoint of over the last 10 years, most districts have been eliminating gifted programs across the state, or at least eliminating some of the gifted staff that they have. We've been adding gifted staff, and we've traded what we do, and we've adjusted some of our resources and been able to add gifted staff. By doing that, we offer primary thinking skills at the elementary level. And that is something that we offer for all students, because our belief is we invest in every one of our students and work on problem solving, working on real world application, and working on their capability of being able to build a foundation that's going to help them throughout the world once they get out of Piqua City Schools. So that's a very important program that happens at kindergarten, first, and second grade that is extremely unique for a district. The second thing we focus on, science, technology, education, or engineering and math. And we've added a lot of programming, especially this year at our junior high, and that's thanks to our partnership with the Upper Valley Career Center. We actually have all of our 8th graders taking a STEM course, and it's a beginning STEM course this year. Next year, that is going down to 7th grade, and so we'll be offering STEM education at both 7th and 8th grade next year. College-bound programs with Edison Community College, we continue a wonderful partnership there where they come and visit our 8th graders, their professors, and then our 8th graders go to Edison and visit for a day. And then we continue that at the high school with a College 101 course, which is getting students used to college. Keep in mind, we still have quite a few students who are first-generation college students, and so we have to work with them on understanding how you start the process of applying for college, looking for scholarships, looking at being able to get into a college, be it Edison or be it a four-year college, and so that's the work that's done with College Bound. We also do continue our program with dual enrollment, which is changing name to College Credit Plus. You've probably heard some advertising out there on the television. Basically, that is something that the state just renamed, but we continue a strong partnership with Ohio Northern University. I remind our parents who have students participating in this that a one semester hour now at Ohio Northern is over $1,000. Our students are getting it for free. And we do that in a very unique partnership. Our staff is working with their staff. We use the same textbooks, the same syllabus, and basically create the opportunity for our students to pick up college credit while they're here at Piqua High School. And then the last thing is just some of the new courses that we see, and I'll talk a little bit when you see over in the right-hand column, hip hop abs and high-intensity interval training, introduction to allied health, sports agility, Zumba, yoga, Pilates, and cardio kickboxing. That is all because of a partnership that we've done with the YMCA. Doing something a little bit different, we had a retirement in our physical education staff, and so we did an adjustment with surveying our 8th graders and our 9th graders and our 10th graders and saying, if we brought in courses from the Y, would you be interested in taking them? We had a great response. We floated out on the survey about 15, 16 opportunities, and we are offering this year 6 of those opportunities, and they're listed there. So very unique. The great thing We teamed up with the YMCA to do this, but we also teamed up with Edison Community College, so every one of our students who are taking those classes basically are getting college credit also, which is a tremendous opportunity for them. When you look at technology, and I'm not going to read through all this, this is Eric's wonderful venue, and basically with technology, we are blessed with tremendous technology, equipment and resources and software throughout our district. You can see everything that we have here. And it's one that we have several grants that are in place or coming into place that's even expanding the technology that we have. So when you walk through this building, you will find elementary students. In this building right now, we have first, second, and third. Kindergarten will join next year, but our elementary students you will see with laptops. You'll see them working individually. You'll see screens like this that have the capability of doing PowerPoint. You also will see whiteboard technology in every classroom. And the professional development really is our students working with the adults, myself included, because our kids are very good at utilizing this technology and they're used to it. So it's one that we are blessed with technology and appreciate our community for that. As I mentioned, partnerships is extremely important. If you all think in the business world and also in our world, the most important thing that you can create are quality relationships or partnerships. There are five that I've listed there. Piqua Education Foundation is one that is a tremendous asset for our school district. Every year, the Education Foundation does two things for Piqua City Schools. First of all, they offer classroom grants for our teachers. And one thing that is appreciated is the grant application is a very short application. But secondly, it provides some of the things in our classrooms that we can't do with our regular budget. The second thing with Piqua Education Foundation, which is phenomenal, is last year they sponsored over $230,000 worth of scholarships for our high school seniors and our alumni. And so about half goes to our seniors that are graduating and half go to our alumni who are out in colleges. For a district our size, that is unheard of, to have a local foundation designated just for our high school students and our alumni. So that's a wonderful thing that we offer. Most of the scholarships are around $1,500 to $2,500. Some of them are renewable, and as long as our alumni are keeping their grades at a quality level and they're continuing to participate, they can get one of those scholarships for all 4 years, which helps offset that cost. Upper Valley Career Center, we have Nancy Luce, the superintendent there with us today. Nancy, if you want to wave. Nancy's a tremendous partner with Upper Valley from the standpoint that we share programming, where we host some of their programming this year at our junior high, as I mentioned before, with STEM, but also at our high school. And then our students also participate over on their campus, and so it's a nice shared collaboration. We work with Edison, again, with what used to be called post-secondary option, will soon being called College Credit Plus, where our students can take one class up to 4 or 5 classes at Edison and be a high school student and continue to work with us, but also be able to get college credit. Ohio Northern, I already mentioned. One that I put on the list is the last one, Noblesse International School. I put them up there because about 7 years ago, I was contacted by one of our Piqua alumni. His name's Bob Hartzell. Bob was stationed in the Philippines and basically was in the military there, contacted me about 7 years ago and said, we are looking at starting a school here that is an American-based school sponsored by some businesses both in the Philippines and in Korea. They said, would you be willing to help us? And so our curriculum department and also some others, including myself, started being of assistance, started looking at curriculum, content, looking at helping them structure their school, looked at advanced placement courses, looked at international baccalaureate courses, and the great thing about that is over the past 7 years, basically they now have a full school, about 125 students. They also are offering all those things that I just mentioned. They also have a residential hall, so they have students living on their campus now. Bob came in about 2 years ago, visited me in the summer, and is coming again this summer. So it's been a good partnership. They contacted us again this spring. he and I have been emailing back and forth for quite a while, but contact us and ask if we would be interested in some additional partnerships, which the Board of Education is going to start looking at. So a nice international partner to have, which is a great thing, and again, a alum that's coming back and connecting us. As always, we are extremely fortunate to have business partners, and we have tremendous resources out there in our community. The great thing is our community resources are very willing to help Piqua City Schools. And so those are all of the logos. Last year I joked because I could barely fit them on the screen, so I tried to tidy it up a little bit because we have grown with some additional partners. But again, I greatly appreciate all of our partners and thank them on behalf of our students and staff. Some of our community partners, the partnerships going through here, Rachel's Challenge was done with the Upper Valley Medical Foundation. This is a Zumba class going on at the high school with the YMCA, and their instructor is in the middle, and she has lots of energy. The thing I could share with you is our students are sweating when they're taking this class, and that's something that we had to make sure that the showers were working at the high school and some other things. Dan French was our business partner of the year last year. Band parents working on new marching band uniforms. Parents conferencing with us. This is Casey Hines. We are switching all of our fundraising. We are getting away from selling things like cookie dough and getting more into wellness, because our mission is not to sell cookie dough. Our mission is education and wellness of our students. So Casey was working out with the 5K Atomic Run that we sponsored last year with Washington Intermediate, and that's some of the things that we are looking for with our fundraising in the future. A great project that now we have done twice, and we did it with Troy. It was a great thing to join together, and we had a young man, Brandon Burnside, who one of our students who had cancer, and we worked on. And I appreciate this came from the student body, and they wanted to do a project to help Brandon and his family. That happened last year for the first time. Brandon did pass away, but our student body wanted to continue his memory, and so it was sponsored again this year with just about $10,000 being donated to the Children's Hospital in his name. So a great idea of what our students do also. Down here, the American Legion does a great job of sponsoring our students for Boys State, Girls State, and some other competitions. This is one where French Oil is involved with us on a project of 5th graders going to Glen Helen. And it's a 4-day, 3-night trip for them, all environmental education. And sometimes it's the first experience for some of our students to be away from home. And French and some other partners have been involved with that. Police Chief Jameson has done a great job with looking at everything we need to do with safety and helping to train our staff. And then throughout here you can see partnership with Bill Beagle. He's been in the district several times. He spoke with National Honor Society induction. He also works with Mr. Hiddle and I diligently on a regular basis on what's going on in Columbus. And then on the right-hand side is basically our construction team and working on a safety issue with that. Facilities, the current project, $54 million project that we are on the back end now, which I'm very proud to say. Every year I give you this check. It's a touch screen. The checks, basically, there are a lot of more things checked off, is what I can share with you. The two main things that I like sharing with everyone is the two up here. We are on schedule and on budget. We just did the last bids, open bids last week. That was for the 36 turn lane in front of this building that we have to add, and that was also for the abatement and demolition of all the buildings. Those all came in within budget, and so we're very optimistic that unless we hit something very, very unexpected with some of the site outside facility things, we're going to finish our project within budget and on schedule, which is phenomenal. So, and that's without any additional local initiatives, which is something unique for us also. What's left? People keep saying to me, Rick, what are you going to do now? Well, there are things left. Redistrict K through 6 before the fall. That is a lot of work. We are looking at where students are going to be. The boundary line has been selected, and so it's one where we're carefully looking at which students go here to Spring Creek, which students go to Washington, which staff goes here, which staff goes to the other place, and total redistricting, which takes some work. The other work is the design of a new transportation system, K through 6. That is a lot of work that we are basically starting from scratch because it's totally redoing the transportation for our elementary students. Occupy Piqua Central Intermediate in August. The date for dedication is going to be June 28th for that building at 2 o'clock. That's a Sunday, June 28th at 2, and we'll be dedicating that building. Also, the asbestos abatement and demolition of all the old buildings will be happening this summer and in the fall. By the time we roll into December of next year, or this year, we should be finished with the asbestos and abatement and demolition of our buildings. And also continue upgrades on PHS and Piqua Junior High School. Especially Piqua High School. We started some upgrades a few years ago with the HVAC system. We put some new flooring in the second floor, but there is more work that we need to continue to do. Facility-wise, one of the best things that I enjoy is the fact that this face, this was the week before Christmas break when we moved into this building, and this is one of the students here at Spring Creek. And basically, that gives you an idea of what our students thought about moving in. And it was phenomenal taking that picture of that young lady and the folks coming in. The other thing that is enjoyable, and all of these are pictures of the new buildings. If you notice, that's the gym here at Spring Creek. All of our gyms model Garbary Gymnasium at the high school. Notice in this room and across this building, Washington is the same way. Piqua Central will be the same way. The colors are red and blue because we are Piqua, and the colors go along with the fact that we are all Indians. Our buildings used to have different colors and also different mascots at the different buildings. We're now all Indians, and we're now all red and blue, which is fun to do. Teresa and Mindy, the two principals at the two buildings, helped tremendously with picking things like the fabric. Because I was red, blue, and Dover white. And so they did a phenomenal job of adding some nice touches to these buildings when you go around and take a look at them. We did this simply because we wanted a timeless building. The outside is timeless. It's not a modern type building. That way, 20 years, 40 years, 60 years from now, these buildings still will blend in with our city. With the colors, we went with the wood tones like this. We went with colors that will always be with. And again, that way, 10 years from now, when colors go out of style, red and blue, at least in Piqua, is not going to go out of style. And so we try to do things more conservatively. The other two pictures I have up here, on the far right, some things that we're doing at the high school is putting in furniture similar to what we do at these buildings, trying to update the high school. And also, we completely redid the commons this past summer to be able to start matching what we have in these in our new buildings. And so our high school students are excited about that. The other thing to keep in mind is not only do we have a restaurant and a transportation system and everything I mentioned, we also try to be an economic stimulus for our community, and especially with what we host. We have been blessed every year, and we continue to be blessed. This past fall, we did volleyball invitational tournaments, 2 of them with 8 different schools coming in. One of our biggest community impacts is when we host the playoffs. We've been fortunate to host 4 different playoff games this year and the previous year. That brings in a lot. When you talk to Wings, Rings, and things, they'll tell you anytime we're hosting a game, they are packed. And it's not just them, it's our gas stations, it's our stores, it's everyone around. And you can see the other things. Not only do we do sports, but also our show choir every year has an invitational. We host the regional Science Olympiad program. We also host the History Day regional tournament, and so a lot of different hosting. That takes a lot of manpower, a lot of volunteers, especially a lot of you are out there helping out, but it's worth it from the standpoint that, again, it offers great opportunities for our students, but it also provides that economic stimulus for our community. we always look at how can we get better at Piqua City Schools. The 4 things that we really worked on this past fall, Eureka Math. Eureka Math is our new math program in kindergarten through 6th grade. You possibly have heard folks talking about our new math program out in the community, especially our students and our parents, because it is a much tougher math program than what we had previously. It is very much application math, where I compare it to when I was a student and you all were students. If you remember the word problems that you had to think about the plane flying from New York to San Francisco and then back to Colorado and all over the continent, it seemed like, and you had to apply everything that you knew. That's Eureka Math in some ways, from the standpoint that it's looking at real-world application, and it's tough. It's also looking at the research behind it, looked at all of the math programs across the world, not just the United States, and looked carefully at how math was being done across the world and who was successful at it. And so that's the new math program. An independent study just came out 3 weeks ago saying that of all the new math programs that are out there, Eureka Math is the #1, which was great. I appreciate Dave Shellhouse, who was here a few minutes ago. Our curriculum director did a great job of working with our staff on what do we need to do to fill the gaps that we have in our math program, and that's why we put that in. It's been an adjustment. And we continue to work with our staff, our students, and our parents on supporting that program, and we'll continue doing that. But at this point in the year, when you talk to our staff, they'll share with you, we're seeing some great things. Students actually know what they're talking about instead of just rotely memorizing facts and figures and being able to spit it out like a computer. And so it's a great program. Menlo Park Cubed is a partnership with Upper Valley Career Center and also Edison Community College, and that is a continuation of a STEM program that we started. The great thing about that program is, again, some of the things I mentioned at the junior high with what we're doing, and also what we're doing at the high school with robotics, with pre-engineering, and what Upper Valley Career Center is doing with pre-engineering courses, and also that leads on into what they do at Edison with that. I already mentioned the why, and again, I put a picture of one of our sports agility classes, and you can see they're working hard. And then the last thing is a pilot of the candidate scheduling model. Our goal there was we brought in a professional last year who does work with school districts all over the United States, and he came in, spent a week with our principals. With moving into new buildings, we saw an opportunity to relook at our scheduling. And Teresa and the other principals spent a week with this gentleman looking at what can we do differently to make learning better. And we are piloting, Teresa's been piloting this program all fall and continues to do that. We've expanded the pilot because it's been very successful. And so that's another thing that we're working on here. Something that's happening this spring, we were fortunate, we joined together with Milton Union Schools and Franklin Monroe Schools and brought a application to the state for straight A funds and ended up receiving a $2.1 million straight A grant. We get just over $1 million of it for Piqua. And basically, it puts a laptop, one-on-one Chromebook, touchscreen laptop with every one of our students in kindergarten and first grade next year in their classroom, and also it sends one home with them. And the purpose of the grant is to increase literacy skills and provide support at home for what we're doing at school. We always look carefully at how can we better involve our parents and what resources can we send home with them. And we've always sent packs of books home. Now we're sending computers home starting next year. The great thing about the program, our other partner, I mentioned Milton Union and Franklin Monroe. We also have Wright State, Ohio State, and we have PBS. And Think TV is actually creating programming for this program that will be on the computers when they go home. And so if you're familiar with PBS stuff with literacy, Read Between the Lines is one of their programs. they're developing a whole program that is going to be similar to that just for this project, that eventually they're going to go national. And again, Teresa has been a phenomenal resource for them and working very hard on that project with them. So it gives you an idea of some of the forethinking that the state superintendent and also the governor is very interested in this project. Teresa got to spend some time in Columbus at the State House with them and looking at what we're doing here. And so that is being piloted. We just started 2 weeks ago with 6 classrooms in all of our primaries, and by next fall we'll be rolling that out. So a great thing when we're doing kindergarten registration right now, and I share with them there are 4 things that Piqua City Schools offers that nobody else does. One, we have new schools. Secondly, your child's going to have a laptop coming home next year. Thirdly, we have a great staff. And fourthly, we have all-day, everyday kindergarten for the first time in our history for every student. And so exciting things with that. Another project that we're working on, and this is extremely unique, the state rolled out a grant called Community Connectors. The purpose of the grant is to provide mentoring for students that are at risk. The unique part of the grant is it has to be a collaboration with faith-based organizations, with businesses, with nonprofits, and with school districts. And I'm happy to share that the Piqua community sent in a grant application for this. We're supposed to receive word back in April. All of the businesses that are listed there are business supporters. We also have 5 churches on board with this grant, and we also have 2 nonprofits, the YMCA and also the Piqua Juvenile Education Fund, and they are the leading organizer for the grant. But basically, this will put 60 mentors working at our intermediate building next year, 30 of them in 5th grade, 30 of them in 6th grade, and then the following year we'll add 30 more mentors to 7th grade, and then the following year we'll add 30 more mentors for 8th grade. And so a great opportunity, one that we started with the small group. If people want to get involved, they're welcome to. The great thing about this, it's a matching grant. So for every dollar that we raise locally, the state for the first year matches it with $3. Second year, the state matches with $2, and the third year, the state matches it with $1. And so we're looking forward to this. The other thing is great about Piqua is our churches have decided even if we don't get the grant, they're still going to make this happen. So I can stand before you and share that we're going to have mentors out of this project whether we get the grant or not. And so exciting things with that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hittle for talking about the stuff that interests him and also me.
Good morning. I want to cover just 3 points that matter today: local support, changes in the budget, and stewardship, and how that we make those things happen. One thing to keep in mind is that, and I'm going to go fast because I know what our time is and the kids are getting ready to come. So the local and state funding, we have been shifting. More state dollars have been coming towards the district, so now we're at more of a 50-50 split. The project set at a 53-47 split, so there has been some changes as far as where our funding come from. With that in mind, that makes the state funding even more important because we're reliant heavily upon the state to be able to financially support our district. So just something to keep in mind, but we're really right at a 50-50 split at this point. One of the things that's been happening locally with the local support is the property values have decreased from, you see in 2007, we were at $447 million, and now currently today we're at $375 million. One of the obvious big changes is the personal tangible property tax, the inventory tax. We changed to using a CAT tax, and so a lot of our valuation has been decreased from there. But also our real estate property values have come down, and they've continued to have a little bit of a decline. Speaking with the county auditor, though, I think we're probably at the bottom of the hill and we're looking on our way back up. So that's the good news, is we've been able to weather the storm. Financially, we're in a good, stable position, and we've made it through this decrease in property values. And if they start to come back up, then our potential revenues are going to increase as we move forward. Our community has been very supportive. We have the local income tax that generates a little over $6 million a year. We also have property taxes in place that generate about $14.5 million a year, and I broke out The general fund is about $10.5 million, and that's for operating revenue that pays the salaries, the electric bills, and all those kinds of things. But our debt service, because of the new project with the 3 new buildings, we're paying, and we generate about $2.6 million a year in debt service for the junior high and then the new school buildings, and then $1.2 million a year we get in capital improvements, which is part of the new building project to maintain those buildings, as well as our PI levy that we use for buses, and as well as the technology department, so that we can continue to have the best technology in the northern Miami Valley. So that just sort of shows you the breakdown of what we do for our property taxes. This is a graph that just shows our revenue in the red, our expenses in the red, and our revenue in the green. For the last 7 years, we've been in the black. We're on target to complete our 8th year in the black this year, as long as nothing unforeseen occurs. I always preface that because you just never know, but we're on target to be able to complete our 8th year in the black, which is stellar. It's a great thing, and it just shows that we're monitoring our budgets and making sure that we're doing everything we need to be doing to live within our means. There are pressures on the budget, as with everybody's budget. There's always different things that you have to pay attention to. We have a biennial state budget that we won't know the answers to until probably May, if we're lucky. They're still working on that. Not a lot of details about that. The proposed governor's budget suggested that the district could receive more funding, and I got a slide on that. We're currently at the cap, which means that the state believes that we need over $20 million in state support to be able to operate our district the way they believe that it needs to be operated and funded. And currently we receive just shy of $15 million from the state, so there's a $5 million gap in what they think they should be paying us. Well, they're not going to give us the $5 million. They're only going to give us 6% every year until they get us up to that $5 million that they say that we need. So that can take some time for us to get there. So being at the cap, at least we know that we're going to get, if the budget stays where it currently is, we could see a 6% raise. However, it's very early on. There's a lot of districts that are on the guarantee, which means that they need less money than the state pays them. And they're fighting and saying, you can't take this money away from us, it'll devastate our school district. So there's that fight going on between the haves and the have-nots. So nobody wants to give up what they have, and the people who don't have what they need are saying, no, we want this. So this is part of that whole budget. The way we fund school districts has been illegal. It's been found unconstitutional multiple times, and this was sort of their solution to be able to fix this. The potential is there to fix it, but we'll see if it actually sticks. So it could provide us more revenue, and they're still debating that, and it's a long political journey before we actually get there. Another thing that we've done is at the end of last school year, we completed a negotiated agreement, so now we're under a 3-year contract that'll run through July 31st of 2017. We were able to give out a 2.5% increase in year 1, 2 in year 2, and a 1.5% increase in year 3. We were able to put in an efficiency stipend as well as a performance bonus that we've updated some of the language in there to match with what the state's doing for giving out the excellence. They're using letter grades now. The efficiency stipend I'll talk a little bit more about as I go through the slides, but the thought process behind that is everybody has a little bit of a skin in the game to be able to be responsible for what they use. One of the big components that we were able to work on our negotiated agreement is changes in insurance. We used to offer one insurance policy here. It was the PPO, and it's where you went in and you paid a flat copay every time that you went to the doctor's office or the hospital, those kinds of things. Well, we've now got 4 plans. And the idea behind these 4 plans is that our PPO was on it was set up to be a Cadillac tax issue. So eventually the PPO plan was not going to be feasible for the district. Our membership recognized that, and they've worked with us to create some alternatives that eventually, when the Cadillac tax with the Affordable Care Act is in place, that we'll be able to not have to worry about paying that additional tax revenue that goes on there. So we put in an alternate PPO, which has a little bit of a deductible to it, but similar to what they used to have. So if they didn't want to make major changes, that gave them that opportunity. But we also put in a high deductible HSA plan. The district contributed some money towards the HSA plan. They have some money they have to contribute towards the HSA plan, and then it's covered at 100%. So 94% of our staff selected this HSA plan, which is tremendous, because typically when you roll out an HSA plan, you're looking at best in the 70s, and we were able to get 94% of our staff on board with that. So that's an excellent, it shows that not just us, but the membership was engaged in this conversation about being able to save money for the district and for themselves in premiums. And the fourth plan that we offer is the Bronze Plan, which is part of the Affordable Care Act. It makes sure that we are providing affordable health care and give it access to all. And if you were here and you were wealthy and could afford the deductible, we actually pay the premium for those people who decide to take this plan. So we've made sure that it's affordable and it's accessible, because if you work 3 hours or more here at Piqua City Schools, you get some percentage of insurance coverage. So we've covered the basis so that we're kosher with the Affordable Care Act. The other thing that we were able to do in this is we were able to negotiate a deal where we split the insurance premium. And what that means is, if we got a 10% increase from Anthem, the board would be responsible for 5%. Or all the blinds?
They're getting blinded by the sunshine coming in.
Oh, did you want me to block it out for you, Nancy? Sorry.
I was
Move this
trying
way.
to help.
If there was a 10% increase, the board would pay 5%, the membership would pay 5%. That has fixed the Board of Education's increases in health insurance to 5% per year. So that's something that I can budget. It's not, I don't have to worry if there's going to be a 23% increase. The board share is going to be fixed at 5%. So that has helped looking at the financial picture as far as how much our health insurance premiums are going to increase. If it goes over 10%, then the language automatically triggers an emergency meeting of the insurance committee, and they'll start talking about what changes do we need to make to be able to bring that premium back down below 10%. So we do have that in place, and I think that's good moving forward in the future. Our insurance committee is active. They've taken the initiative to get educated on health insurance and make sure that we're making wise decisions and understanding the Affordable Care Act. And currently what we're working on is implementing a wellness plan. So it's great we have insurance, but how do we get people to where we don't need to use the insurance? And so that's been our focus now, is how are we going to really push wellness and get people more active and more healthy and get them the care they need ahead of time instead of the catastrophic episodes. So that's what our insurance committee is currently working on. Stewards of your money. We say all the time that we're good stewards of your money, but what does that really mean? What are we doing? How are we looking for these savings, and what are the results of that? So the board, the superintendent, and myself, we have this taxpayer bill of rights that we work with. It's our commitment to the community that we are going to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. We're going to make decisions based off of what impacts the classroom, not just frivolously spending your money. We're being wise with it. I'm constantly looking for savings. Rick's constantly looking for savings, and now I believe our staff as a whole is looking for savings, because, like I said, with the efficiency stipend being in place, the more that we save, the more that we have in carryover days, the more incentive that the staff gets to be able, at the end of the year, as a reward for being efficient with taxpayer dollars. Currently, things that we do, we use an RFP process. So when we're doing large items, we're going out, we're asking for quotes. A request for proposal means, tell me how much it's going to cost and what you're going to do for me. And one of those that we're currently doing is an inventory and valuation. We need to do a full inventory of everything in our district, and we need to get all of our buildings and property revalued. And so that's currently an RFP that I'm working through now. We've got one quote that's at like $27,000, and we've got two that are like $10,000. And so now we've got to figure out why is one 27, the other two are 10, is there something missing, that kind of thing. But this helps us see that if we would have just went to the one company and got 27,000, we may have spent 17,000 more than we needed to. Getting 3 quotes on everything, it's our rule, it's our mantra to get 3 quotes. Did you get 3 quotes? And the state of Ohio requires 3 quotes. We require, our staff to get 3 quotes so that we know that we're getting a good deal on what we're doing. If you tell us a price, Rick and I are not likely to right off the bat agree that that's what the price is. And if you've dealt with us, you probably have gotten that before. Are you sure that's the best you can do? We use technologies to improve efficiencies. We're always looking at software that's going to make things more efficient. We've got these new buildings, and the great thing is the lights turn themselves off. We've got computer systems that we can go in and we can monitor from outside the building. You'd be sitting at home and we could change temperatures in the rooms and all those kinds of things. So that helps us to be able to maintain, lower our expenses. And so we use technology to be more efficient, and then again, having our staff engaged in trying to save money should help save the district as we move forward. Some examples of recent savings. We refinanced the bonds at the junior high. That issue was supposed to be up in December of 2020. We would have paid off the junior high building. By doing the refinancing, we were able to cut that down, and it will be now paid off in December of 2019. So we were able to cut a year off of that and save the taxpayers $382,746. The EPC is something that we're part of, which is the Educational Purchasing Cooperative. All the school districts that are members of that all get together to do their purchasing. We as a school district collectively, as the whole state, use 4 billion units of natural gas. We use about only 27,262 of those units. We were able to save $1 a unit of natural gas in this last negotiation. So we're going to save over $27,000 by being part of this purchasing cooperative. The natural gas rates that we got this time are the lowest that they've been in 20 years. So that just shows you that there is something to be said for purchasing in a cooperative. And natural gas prices are low, but this was able to lock in something for a longer period of time that we're saving money. Another thing we recently did was change our credit card processing agent. That's estimated to save around $8,000 a year just by doing that. We were getting stuck with some compliance fees and all kinds of other things that were costing us a fortune. And at the elementary grade levels, we don't use and process as many credit cards, so the fees were really adding up more than what we were actually processing. So we made some changes and we were able to just save some money by doing that, but that's just a process of going through and trying to work with these credit card processing companies to be able to get a better deal. So, in conclusion, we really appreciate the community support. We wouldn't be able to do it without all the support that we get. Again, 50% of our budget comes from local taxes. We'll continue to monitoring the changes in district finances. I'll stay on top of the budget, the biennial budget. I'll also make sure that I advise the board if there's anything that comes along that's going to throw a wrench in our 8th year and going forward. We'll continue to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. We're going to continue to live within our budget, and we're projected to finish our 8th year in the black, and I can't stress that is amazing to be able to do it for that long. Many districts are on this roller coaster of levy cycles, and they're constantly out there running levies. We have no plans to put, and again, barring any unforeseen circumstances, we have 3 years to where we don't need to run any additional levies or come back and ask for any money. So we're sitting in a good position financially, and we'll continue to make sure that it stays that way.
Just a reminder, you're welcome to check us out on hashtag WeArePiqua. A couple pictures up there give you an idea of some of the things going on. We've had a phenomenal year. Marching band qualified for state in the first time in decades. Our swimmer, Ike Karn, who was down here on the right, finished 5th in the 1-meter dive just a few weeks ago. And we have students qualified for Science Olympiad state competition, Destination Imagination state competition, Ohio History Day state competition, the men's choir and the symphonic band and the general choir at the high school all qualified for state also in recent weeks. And so it's been a phenomenal year, and that can't be done without community support. We appreciate everyone from the standpoint of everything you do for Piqua City Schools. I always share we have great kids, and you can see that in some of the pictures of the students we get to work with, and we love working with them and appreciate the community and all the resources the community provides. So at this point, we'd be happy to take questions. Yes,
Do
Judy.
you have plans for the building, the old building spaces?
Currently, we are just starting to look at that. We really haven't spent a lot of time on that because we've been focused on actual building. Now that we have opened the turn lane bids and these last groups of bids last week, we'll start putting attention toward that. But at this point, we haven't made any commitments for the spaces that the old buildings are on. The one I can share with you that, I'll take back, we have one that we know for sure. Nicklin, once it comes down, we're going to use that as a land lab and gardens and space for Piqua Central Intermediate School to do science activities. Other than that, we are still developing that, so in development. So. Other
Buy some
questions?
land,
Make a nice yard for her, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you live right by Wilder, you got a great
I
backyard.
can have a great garden.
Other questions? Other questions? Okay. We appreciate all of your time and coming today. If you do have questions, please, we'll be around. The other thing I encourage you to do, peek in the building, second floor, first floor. Also on the other side, you'll see the commons. You also see the gymnasium. Music room is phenomenal. So enjoy the building while you're here. And again, thank you for coming this morning.